Throughout the assault by Harry Mulisch, there are various references to the resistance. The resistance was comprised of various secret groups of people that sprung up throughout Europe during the time of Nazi rule. These people included regular civilians or even smaller groups of guerrilla fighters. Countries that had resistance movements included Germany, Yugoslavia, Poland, Ukraine, Belgium, Norway, and France. The main goal of these resistance movements was to oppose the Nazis and end German occupation in Europe. Many people took part in the resistance movement to stop the Nazis. Some ways they accomplished this were helping Jews escape, ambushing German patrols, publishing newspapers that either opposed the Nazis or spread propaganda, relaying important information back to the Allies even if it were dangerous. Many resistance members also failed to follow Nazi rules, and there were even assassination attempts towards Adolf Hitler. Even in Germany, the center of Nazism, there were still resistance movements. One of these resistance movements was called the White Rose Resistance Group and was formed by Hans Scholl and his sister Sophie Scholl. The two siblings started this student-based group which wrote and printed anonymous anti-Nazi pamphlets and distributed them throughout Munich. Eventually, though, its key members were captured and executed, but their efforts continued to push the resistance movement. Also, on July 20th, 1944, Colonel Klaus Schenck von Stauffenberg and other military officers attempted to assassinate Adolf Hitler. This is one of many other assassination attempts towards Adolf Hitler. In Norway, an even greater attempt to stop Nazi rule was occurring. A man named Gunnar Sandstøby led the resistance movement in Norway and created the Oslo Gang, which was a small resistance group that led propaganda campaigns in Norway. Among many other things, Sandstøby and the Oslo Gang destroyed German munition factories, troop ships, and even the railway infrastructure. Because of this, German reinforcements were unable to move back to the front line, and this was very important for the Oslo Gang. Not only that, but the Norwegian resistance movement was able to slow down the German nuclear research program. At the time, their nuclear program was probably more advanced than the Allied program, so obviously the Norwegian resistance movement had a great impact. Jan Novak Jeslarensky fought for the resistance cause and took part in the failed Warsaw Uprising. He was most known as the Courier from Warsaw, since he made death-defying trips from Warsaw to London in order to bring news of the Polish resistance's activities to the Allies. The Warsaw Uprising started on April 19, 1943, and took place in the Warsaw ghettos for about a month. The Jews in this ghetto fought against the Germans using weapons such as pistols, and while their uprising failed, it continued to encourage resistance in Poland. Despite being persecuted by the Nazis, many Jews still resisted. One of these Jews was Benjamin Levin, and he created a group of Jewish vigilantes known as the Avengers. While the group never exceeded more than 24 people, the Avengers destroyed 180 miles of railroad, destroyed 40 Nazi train cars, and even blew up 5 bridges. Throughout their time, they killed 212 enemy soldiers. Levin was especially important as he was able to hold false identities and pass messages between the Lithuanian and Nazi soldiers while remaining undetected. Members of the resistance like Levin were constantly under threat of being found and executed by the Germans, but they continued with what they were doing in order to fight for their important cause.